Day 2 here at the Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster Classic 2024, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Grand Lake. What a day 1 it was. If you missed the weigh-in, you missed some big-time fireworks. It was a packed house, Such. It was a great day 1 weigh-in.
Good crowd, some good fish.
Oh, it was rainy takeoff, and it was absolutely fantastic as well yesterday morning right there at Wolf Creek Park. It's going to be a great and memorable Bassmaster Classic. Thank you for joining us this morning on the Bassmaster Classic pre-show, brought to you by Tennesse Tourism, which is where we had the Bassmaster Classic last year. In Grand Lake this year, throwing some anglers some curveballs. It's ever-changing day to day, but we do have a cram-packed top 10. If you didn't have 16 pounds, you aren't getting in the top 10, Such. And if you didn't have 22, you're not leading day 1 of the Classic. Will Davis sneaking in our last camera coverage there. Tyler Williams, we've got some first-time Classic qualifiers. And we've got some
in our top 12.
Veterans of the sport also near the top.
Matt Robertson's in the mix, 16.5 pounds, tied with two-time Classic champ Hank Cherry. 7th place.
We know Matt Robertson always puts on a show.
He got wet.
Got the chance to smell that jacket, and it didn't smell too great, Such, backstage, but it served its purpose. Matt Robertson storming out day 1
nice
in our
bag.
top 10. Hank Cherry, yesterday I said, did you go to Costco and buy your 3+ pounders in bulk? Because every single bite Hank Cherry got yesterday was a 3+ pounder. John Cox, with very limited practice this week, still getting it done.
16-14, 6th place.
Hey, he was our early leader on Bass Track, and he stayed in our top 5 the entire day.
One of 5 guys over 18 pounds. He had 18.5.
Lee Livesey keeping a couple baits in play this week, and we'll be able to get into all those as we watch him fish today, but knocked out 18-15.
Give me a little love.
19 pounds goes to one of our Opens winners, Adam Rasmussen from Wisconsin. Grew up as a walleye angler, decided to give bass a run for their money a few years ago, and won twice
his
on
big
the Bassmaster stage.
His big fish was a 5'10", really helped him out there.
He really kicked off. If you missed the first angler weighing in, you missed a show because Cody Huff busted 21 pounds, 2 ounces, and took the early lead. Held it for the entire weigh-in until late in the day. Justin Hamner came across the scales with 22 pounds, 6 ounces.
Crush City monster bag of the day. Ronnie had a 5.14 and another 5-pounder in there. 2 fish, 11 pounds. You're doing good.
Said 2 twins carried Justin Hamner to the day 1 lead. He had a 5.11 and a 5.14, like you said. And Hamner sitting in first place, picking up where he left off this season so far. He's had a great Toledo Bend Elite Series event. Broke the Century Club, caught an 11.5 pounder.
Biggest bass on Bassmaster Live, 11.7.
Keeping it going. He said, I don't know what it is, but I want to bottle it, keep it going.
Having a good year. Having a good year.
He said he's fishing free. He's figured out the home life, being able to manage his time away from his family and his young girl and his wife.
That's hard.
Giving him a lot more pressure-free moments on the water, and it has resulted in good fishing. Takeoff yesterday, Wolf Creek. Obviously a little rainy. A little chilly, windy as well at times for some of these fans who showed up. They said the anglers pulled in the parking lot at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and there was just eyeballs all over the parking lot.
What a crowd. Great crowd, Oklahoma, way to show up.
Absolutely incredible, and Tulsa's one of those fishing towns that shows up, and it's great to see that.
Ronnie, from 6th to 19th, it's tight. 2 pounds separate them, and from 20th to 38th, just another 2 pounds. So we may see some big action movement on the leaderboard today, moving day, to get in that top 25 to fish Championship Sunday.
No doubt about it. You see where Wolf Creek Park is. That's our takeoff location. I'd say it's the upper mid portion of the lake. It's right below the Elk River, right where the Neosho River forms at the top of this body of water, and you head south from there, you get to the mid-lake. You have Echo Bay, Shangri-La, Honey Creek. You get Horse Creek as well, and
not many went north, and it shows with the catches. Here's
where some 4+ pounders were on day 1 of competition. You know, we don't, obviously Bass Track is Bass Track, but we see some 5.13s. We know Hamner had a 5.14. We know Cody Huff had a 4.12 was his biggest, so that means all of his fish were about 4 to 4.5 pounds.
I counted up about 30 fish, maybe one short of 4 pounders caught yesterday.
You see the 3+ pounders there on your screen as well.
You see the Mercury Big Bass of Mr. Luke Palmer, a 6'5".
6'5".
Helped him out. Saved his day, he said.
Late in the day for the most part as well. One of the anglers we had live was an angler fishing his first Bassmaster Classic. Ben Milliken won the Toledo Bend Bassmaster Open last year. Also advanced through the EQ ranks to make the Elite Series and qualify there. Ben Milliken was one a lot of people had their eyes on. He was real sentimental about this tournament. In 2013, Suchi came and visited his first tournament in Tulsa.
Here.
The frigid one. It feels pretty frigid out here right now at our outdoor set, but that sparked something in Ben Milliken. Said he turned his talents to YouTube and was able to make a living doing that. He's also in the industry with tackle companies and things like that. Part ownership.
He's doing well.
He said the angling portion is something he's always loved, and to be able to get into tournaments at the Bass stage on this level and make the Classic, it was a dream come true for him.
Yeah, he won that Open. He's got 12 pounds. He's sitting at 45th. He's going to have a big day 2.
We saw a couple guys catch quick and early limits. Brandon Polinick wasn't one of those guys. It seemed like every 30 minutes to an hour he would catch one, and so a couple hours in the day he was able to land his limit. Did so cranking. You got to see a couple different techniques come into play, and the crankbait was big for Brandon Polinick on day 1.
13.7. He ended up tied for 31st.
13.7 keeps you in it. You might be 9 pounds down from the lead, but there's opportunities to move big time here. We've seen it where 22 on day 2 and a 28-pound bag can get you where you need to be on the final day. But we know at Grand Lake this time of the year, it's going to most likely take at least a 20-pound average to get it done. So if you have 12, 13, 14 pounds, you know an uptick is going to be necessary today to survive in advance and then to put yourself in position for tomorrow.
Yeah, Luke Palmer was saying, you know, we may get the biggest bag around 23 pounds, but that guy may come in the next day with 12. That's how Oklahoma is, pretty much. So somebody who had 12, 13, 14 yesterday, they get that 22, they're back in the hunt.
If you have a bunch of solid fish and then you pair it with a 6'5", like Luke Palmer did yesterday, you could have a giant bag at Grand Lake, but that 6'5" really saved his day.
Yeah, because he did not have other bag builder size fish in his limit.
He had 4 fish for about 8 to 9 pounds. Add in that 6-pounder and he gets that 15 or so, and it looks a lot better on paper than it maybe was during the day. He caught a lot of numbers yesterday, but
15-10 total, yeah.
A lot of smaller fish. The pattern he's doing is something that you wouldn't necessarily expect from an Oklahoma angler who's used to shallow, dirty water, but with how clear a lot of the water is at Grand Lake this week, he decided to put some of his eggs in the down lake basket, Drowning Creek, that region south, and utilize a jerk bait, some forward-facing sonar techniques to be able to pinpoint those fish that are just off the bank or just out from the docks a little bit.
Ronnie, we came like 8 fish from everybody catching a limit. We had 54 out of our 56 angles. The average fish was 2 pounds 14 ounces, which isn't too shabby. You extrapolate that, you're in the hunt. The cut is 14.5. That's about right there.
If yesterday was a day 1 of adjustments and figuring it out, Luke Palmer is grateful to have a big fish to carry him, keep him in contention if he figures it out today. A guy who did figure it out, really, based on talking to him, he expected a lot of these fish to be biting in that 5 to 8 foot region on Grand, but he said they bit from 5 inches to 8 feet yesterday everywhere he went.
I love that.
Hank Cherry made great decisions yesterday, and he said, I got a lot more bites than I really was expecting.
7th place in position, 16.5 pounds, tied with Matt Robertson.
Caught a lot of 3-pounders yesterday, and that's why he had, like you said, 16.5 pounds, just under 17. I thought he'd maybe have more because he just had so many cookie cutters. He just missed that big bite.
Which would have got him in the 18, 19-pound range, and really been feeling good. 2-time Classic champ, going for 3, but would become only the 3rd person to win more than 2.
He's got a really good game plan. I feel, talking to him backstage and in the interview room, a lot of things that you might expect Hank Cherry to do, those baits that have made him, famous in the fishing industry. Keeping those in his back pocket. We didn't get wind yesterday. It wasn't optimal conditions for some of that. And guys had to maybe force it and survive. He was able to go with, his first gun. He was able to flip a jig and throw a chatterbait around and be able to catch some fish. When that wind kicks up, if something changes, he'll be prepared and have stuff to adjust to.
Well, you heard several guys yesterday saying, I can't wait for the wind tomorrow. It's going to be better morning. And it's going to be 10, 11 miles this morning.
When you have clearer water, you need something to maybe mix it up, and wind would be that. We got to see Jay secure it. I said, Jay, rarely do you get to roll into Bassmaster Classic day one and show up to your first spot and everything goes to plan. And he said, yeah, I was able to weigh 2 or 3 of the fish that I caught early on my first spot of the day. Was able to weigh those in later on, a 4 and a 3 and change. Was able to go and catch another 4 or so somewhere else. And he said, you know, I'm going to have to probably adjust because those fish were positioned where they were. But as the nights cool off, as the days warm up, those fish may start to transition shallower from where I'm at. The way Robbie Floyd was positioned for Jay Shakiri yesterday, it looked like he was out in the abyss, but he was a lot closer to the shoreline than people would think. So this is our 10 that we are covering on day 2 of the Bassmaster Classic. They're about to take off, and well, I say about to. In about an hour's time, they're going to be taking off from Wolf Creek. We got an early start today, bringing you some bonus coverage before takeoff. The likes of Tyler Williams, Hank Cherry, Jay Shakiri, all of those guys will be on camera. We've got some Classic champs, some Nation champs, some Opens winners, Elite champs, College Classic bracket winners. Every single level the Bass Tournament Series is represented here. We've got a Nation and an Opens winner right there with Adam Rasmussen. John Cox, one of the best shallow water anglers in the game. A multi-time Bassmaster champion, Lee Livesey. Matt Robertson's won at the team championship level. Look at that, Such. We've got College, Nation, Team, Opens,
Classic
Elite
champs.
Series, Classic, every single Bass level, other than I guess the pre-pubescent tournaments, are all represented in Wolf Creek today on camera. A great variety, and it shows.
None of our 5 AOY guys, their average finish was 38. Our 5 AOY guys, Welcher the highest, for Pollock right behind him, 30 and 31st.
Hey, and we say some guys saved their day. A lot of guys from 1:30 to the 3:15 or 3:45.
Very important fish late.
The last 2 hours of the day were key for a lot of our anglers, especially guys like, hey, at 1:30 I had 2 fish, and I'm glad to be in the interview room with you right now.
Yeah, Livesey, he said he had a mistake when I said he had the lead yesterday afternoon. He said his marshal put in a 3 as a 4, and they couldn't figure out how to erase it and change it.
I said, were you bummed you came in with less weight than Bass Track?
He
said, no, not at all. I got 19 pounds. I am
close.
Right here in
18,
contention.
15,
I am all good. Got a lot of guys in contention today. We will bring you live coverage on FS1 just a little bit. 15 minutes from now, we'll be on FS1. Be there for 3 hours today. Coverage throughout the day. If you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Arkansas or Missouri, Such, you'll want to get to the Convention Center for the Expo, and you'll want to get to the BOK Center for the weigh-ins. We will see you soon. Thank you for joining us this morning.